Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Tanjuatco-Trillo. Today on the program, the ban on distributing cash and non-cash aid of most social welfare projects takes effect on Friday, 6 weeks before the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. And where is the Commission on Elections in its preparations for the BSKE poll set on October 30? Comelec chairperson George Garcia joins us live. And later, still bitter about the absence of a Manila stop for the Eras Tour, a local drag queen feeds the FOMO of Filipino Swifties and leaves even international fans enchanted. Drag artist and Taylor Swift impersonator Taylor Sheesh tells us more about her journey later in the program. The law prohibits the release of public funds during election periods. As a spending ban for the Barangay and SK polls takes effect tomorrow, some government programs have been exempted. Paige Javier has the details.
The Commission on Elections reminds government agencies and local governments on handing out financial aid of the upcoming spending ban. Starting tomorrow, the use of public funds for government programs like social welfare projects will be prohibited. Under the Omnibus Election Code, public officials or employees cannot release or disburse public funds 45 days before the regular election.
Yung pamimigay po ng mga bigas and whatever, yan po ay ayuda. At kinakailangan yan, kumuha ng exemption mula sa Commission on Elections. At the same time, kung hindi naman dating namimigay, nagtatago pa yung mismong barangay official, sa ating palagay yan ay pamumulitika, yan ay premature campaigning.
The poll body approved the request of the Social Welfare Department to exempt the payout of cash aid to rice retailers affected by the price ceiling. About 6,000 small rice retailers are covered by the program. The Labor Department's Tupad Cash for Work program is also among those exempted by the Comelec. The fuel subsidy program will also be given the go signal to continue once transport regulators ask for a special permit. Even before the ban took effect, the poll body issued a warning to those given an exemption.
Hindi po yung blanket authority. Meron po laging condition doon sa mga exemption na binibigyan po namin. And therefore, kinakailangan i-comply fully nung mismong LGU, nung mismong National Government Agency.
The distribution of assistance to individuals in crisis situations, or AICS, is strictly prohibited from October 20 to 30. Cash aid given by DSWD to indigent students is a form of AICS.
Ang number one requirement po sa pamimigay nito ay ang barangay certification. Dinisisyonan po ng ating Commission and Bank sa pamumuno nila Chairman Garcia, kasama na po nila Commissioner Bulay, upang hindi magamit ang AICS sa pangangampanya ng nakaupong mga incumbent barangay officials. Na yung ibang aids, ibang assistance, food, medical, transportation, burial, health at iba pa na ibinibigay ng DSWD at iba pang ahensya ng pamahalaan sa qualified individuals, ito po ay tuloy-tuloy.
Comelec has also denied all exemption requests from barangays. Violators or those who fail to seek exemption from the poll body may be charged with an election offense. Penalties include imprisonment of not more than 6 years, as well as losing the right to vote and run for public office. The spending ban will last until October 30, the day of the barangay and SK elections. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
Let's go straight to the source of the story, Comelec chairperson George Garcia. Sir, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Ma'am Ria. Good morning to all the televiewers.
All right, sir, this spending ban takes effect tomorrow ahead of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. Tell us first, what exactly does this mean for government agencies as well as for those who are seeking elective posts?
It should be very clear to all the government agencies and the local government units that we are not actually preventing the implementation of government projects. What we are just saying is that if they want to implement most specifically social services, then they will have to pass through the commissioner election. They will have to create our consent or they will have to seek exemption so that they can fully implement. However, we would like to also clarify that it is not the intention of the law for the government to stop its services to our people. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po lahat yan. But however, there are certain services which we honestly believe should pass to the Comelec, such as the giving of ayudas or at the same time yung giving of financial assistance or such kind of assistance. However, when it comes to assistance in relation to burial, in relation to medical or food, transportation, we are exempting that. But definitely, Ma'am Ria, AIX in its present form is actually prohibited from October 20 to October 30.
All right, okay. So talk to us about the exemptions on the spending ban. I think in the case of distribution of aid for rice retailers, maybe you can explain to us, sir, when does this become a violation of the exemption on the spending ban?
If number one, if the distribution of rice is without the consent or exemption from the Commission on Election. Number two, even if there is a consent or exemption from us, if there is no compliance by the agency distributing the rice to our or the rice subsidy to our traders, then that will be a violation. So we are so very strict with the requirements, with the requisites such as number one, that there should be no distribution in the presence of barangay officials. Barangay officials can only be there just to ensure the peace and order in the area, but surely they will not be the one to hand over the rice subsidy. Number two, that there should be full reporting to be given to us, to be submitted to the Commission on Election. And number three, that the beneficiaries should be properly listed and that likewise be submitted before the Commission on Elections.
All right, sir. Now, let's talk about the penalties for those who do violate the spending ban. What exactly would those penalties be?
Well, under the law, because this is an election offense that is punishable by 1 to 6 years imprisonment, somebody who will be distributing without the consent from the Comelec or exemption from us can be charged criminally and likewise administratively. Therefore, there will be an administrative charge against them. There will be an election offense against them. Now, if the distribution is made, for example, by incumbent barangay officials who are running in the October 30 barangay and SK polls, then we can likewise charge them with premature campaigning, and which is also a ground to disqualify such a candidate.
All right, sir. So very clear yan, no? Now, I want to talk about the task force against premature campaigning. You launched this campaign, this Contra EPAL campaign. What constitutes premature campaigning, and how do you go after those who engage in that?
Ma'am Ria, it has to be understood, okay, by our candidates. Ang campaign period po is October 19 to 28 pa lang. And therefore, even if they file their candidacy by August 28 or up to September 2, they are not yet allowed to campaign because, again, the period has not yet started. It will be by October 19. Therefore, because they are already candidates, they will be considered as campaigning prematurely. Anything that is trying to woo the voters or trying to promote oneself, even if it is done by the so-called traditional medium like posters, campaign materials, or in the present medium as social media, then this is premature campaigning, and therefore we will go after them.
All right, sir. Now, so far, may na-receive na ba po kayong reports? And maybe you can take us through the process of what exactly happens once a report of premature campaigning is received.
Ma'am Ria, dati kasi natatakot yung mga kababayan natin to report sa Commission on Elections. So what we did is that the Comelec will be motu proprio conducting investigations. Presently, we already sent about almost 400 show cause orders against almost 400 individuals, requiring them to explain why they should not be disqualified and or charged criminally for an imprisonment of 1 to 6 years. So 400 na po yan. Today, we're going to send again another 200 show cause orders to 200 violators. So araw-arawin po namin, Ma'am Ria, yan. And yung ginagawa namin, if there is a formal complaint, then that will be docketed and therefore that there will be a formal case for disqualification or election offense. However, if complaints had reached the public either through Viber or either through our social media pages or through the internet, then immediately we are going to assess the same, and that will be the basis of our show cause orders. after the respondents have answered, i-assess muli namin yung kanilang answer, ma'am, and then that will be the basis of us, the Comelec, our task force itself, will be the one to initiate complaints for election offense and disqualification. So, hindi po kinakailangan natin yung mga kababayan na sila mismo ang magpa-file ng mga kaso laban sa kandidato.
All right, so you mentioned you've already filed 400 show cause orders with another 200 today. So that's 600. Does the Comelec have the manpower to address all these cases?
Well, of course, we will readily admit that we are short of people, but however, we have several lawyers naman po in the commission that we can tap. We are tapping from the different offices. We are actually borrowing the lawyers from different offices, especially the offices of the commissioners, so that they can be of help in assessing and in investigating these cases. Because, ma'am, we would like to prove to everyone that even if we lack resources of personnel, we are of course of a strong belief that we can punish and we can prosecute these people. Tama na po yung mga nangyayari before in the past na parang dumadaan lang at pinagbibigyan lang. This is now the best time that we have to teach a lesson or two to these candidates.
So sir, anong mga possible penalties or actions to those na mapapatunayang nag-premature campaign aside from disqualification?
Of course, 1 to 6 years imprisonment. Try to imagine, Ma'am Ria, even if you won the election or will win the election, or even if you will lose the election, try to imagine that we can always go again or go after you. Meaning, we can always file cases, criminal cases against you, simply because when it comes to disqualification, the rule is the disqualification case should have been filed prior to the proclamation. So, maaari makaligtas sila doon kung hindi nakita prior to the proclamation. But remember that when it comes to election offense cases, the prescriptive period is 3 years. So even if you already won the election, or even if you lose the election, we can still go after you and file criminal cases against you.
All right, sir. With that, we need to take a short break right now. But do stay there, sir. We have much more to ask you. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanjuatco-Trillo. Our source today, Comelec chairperson George Garcia. Chairman Garcia, welcome back to the program. Good to have you again. Now, I want to talk about the preparations for the BSKE. Maybe update us, sir, on the status of your preparedness for the upcoming Barangay and Sangguniang elections.
Yeah, Ma'am Ria, we are almost there 100%. We are now going to train this coming Saturday and the next Saturday our electoral board members, the teachers who will be serving this coming election, and at the same time, those who will be the members of the Board of Canvassers. At the same time, we will be training certain number of PNP personnel who will likewise be serving in the event that, in certain places, in the event that the electoral board members, the teachers, will not be able to serve. And at the same time, this afternoon, Ma'am Ria, we are going to talk with the PNP higher-ups, more particularly the Chief PNP, because they will have to give to us the list of those areas which they deem necessary to be under Comelec control, or they deem necessary to be under serious concern. So, mamayang hapon po yun, bibigay nila sa atin. As far as preparation, ballots, etc., tapos na po lahat namin yan. We started the distribution of election paraphernalia na non-accountable forms as early as 2 weeks ago. By the first week of November, we'll be starting distributing the accountable forms, more specifically the original ballots.
All right, sir. So are there any challenges that you're foreseeing in these upcoming elections?
Of course, in certain areas, Ma'am Ria, especially those who will be considered as election hotspots or areas of serious concern, that this will be of challenge to the Commission, and not only to the Commission, to the law enforcement authorities. But however, ang maganda po, the earlier preparation, the better. And that's the reason why at this point, we would like to pinpoint pa rin kung ano yung mga areas na may mga violence na election-related. At the same time, we likewise have increased the number or the presence of checkpoints in several areas in the entire country. And as of the other day, we have apprehended almost 300 violators of our gun ban without any gun exemptions.
All right, sir. So you did mention violence there in certain hotspots. How many election hotspots have you identified for these elections?
Ma'am, I'll be very honest, we will only find that out later this afternoon when we talk to the Philippine National Police. But however, we already pinpointed certain areas at the Bangsamoro, and of course, Negros Oriental is a possible contender for being a hotspot area, and such other areas in Northern Luzon.
All right. Sir, okay, on to a slightly different topic now, onto the budget. You're requesting Congress to restore the 5 billion peso budget cut for 2024, as I understand. How big of an impact will this be for Comelec next year?
Ma'am, in order for us to be able to understand fully, with your kind permission, the budget of the Comelec as proposed was reduced to by 17.4 billion pesos, and of the 17.4 billion pesos, the component for the preparation for the national and local election of 2025 is actually 5.79 billion pesos. Greatly, again, that will have an impact on our preparation, simply because that will have a direct that will directly impact likewise on certain equipments that we will be needing, the overtime of our people, because people will have to understand that there will be two elections by 2025, the May national and local elections, the midterm elections, and the December 2025 Barangay and SK elections. So we badly needed the money, the preparatory for the preparatory election of national and local and the Barangay and SK elections. So ganun po ka-importante, ma'am, yung 5.7 billion. Baka po hindi namin mapaghandaan ng sapat yung 2025 elections.
All right, another problem, of course, you're facing is the plans to retire the 97,000 vote counting machines. Will these be replaced? And if they're not replaced, what are the likely scenarios we're looking at?
Definitely, these machines will have to be replaced. We already declared unusable the 98,000 machines that we have. These are owned by the Commission on Election, by the Philippine government, by the people. But however, this can no longer be used after being used for 3 or 4 times already in the past. So that's the reason why we had been begging that we be given sufficient resources so that we can at least procure new machines, not necessarily buy, but we will just lease the machines. That's the best strategy. And luckily for us, we would like to extend our appreciation to the DBM that at least as far as the machines are concerned, they gave us that sufficient fund in order for us to be able to lease new machines.
Okay, so kailangan talaga po yung budget niyo, no? Now, Comelec approved the exemption of DOLE special program for employment of students, government internship program, Jumpstart Philippines program, DOLE integrated livelihood and emergency employment program from the BSKE spending ban. Before I let you go, sir, please talk to us a little bit about this.
Yes, ma'am, we honestly believe that these are very good projects. These are projects which have been consistently and perennially being implemented by the Department of Labor and Employment. This is a national government agency project, and therefore this does not have any direct impact to the barangays and to those who are running in the barangays and in the SK. So we said in the exemption that we had given that so long as there is no direct participation, we would like to point out direct participation of candidates or incumbent barangay and SK officials in the distributions or in any way in the process of distribution of this assistance, especially to the students, then these are allowed. And at the same time, we are asking them to submit to us the report even on a monthly basis on how the projects were implemented.
All right, sir, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. We appreciate your time. That was Comelec chairman George Garcia. And coming up, a Filipino drag queen is taking the internet by storm with her viral impersonations of American pop superstar Taylor Swift. We speak to Taylor Sheesh after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned.